America almost lost everything in 2008, millions of jobs, homes, and retirements gone overnight. Now, instead of fixing the real problems that caused it, the Federal Reserve is talking about diversity quotas. If that doesn't scare you, it should, because this is how we set ourselves up for the next collapse.
High level, what do you think caused the 2008 global financial crisis?
I think there were multiple factors causing the 2008 crisis. Certainly, I would say living in Michigan certainly saw the mass layoffs that allowed for people who had taken out mortgages to no longer be able to make those payments. So that, to me, was one of the primary causes. But certainly extending credit in a way that was not sensible, both receiving credit and extending credit, especially in the subprime sector, helped to cause the global financial crisis.
I appreciate that, Ms. Cook, and I agree with you. And of course, one thing that I'd add here is that we took, as you said, some primary credit problems and really exploded them by introducing a whole host of highly complex financial instruments. Seems like nobody understood them especially well. That obviously provided a lot of leverage in the economy, and so when $10 disappeared, all of a sudden $1 million disappeared, $10 million disappeared, and on the dominoes went. I want to ask Ms. Cook, if you had to rank it, where would you say a lack of racial and gender diversity ranks on that list? Would you say it's a top 5 factor, a top 10 factor in what caused the global financial crisis? Lack of gender and racial diversity, of course, at the big banks.
Senator, as a Federal Reserve governor, I think about the dual mandate first, and I think about the two legs of that dual mandate, and those are maximum employment and stable prices. And as a governor, I have been engaged with my colleagues on the Federal Open Market Committee in fighting inflation aggressively. And I have been focused on the dual mandate, and that's how, if reconfirmed, I would plan to proceed.
I appreciate that, Ms. Cook, and the reason I asked this question is this. So in a 2019 interview, you said that a lack of women and diversity leads to the next economic crisis. In another speech that year, you suggested a lack of diversity was, quote, at the root of the financial crisis and the Great Recession. So my question is, do you think that a lack of diversity was a root cause of the recent turmoil in the banking sector? Do you think it was a root cause of the 2008 GFC?
Senator, again, I would focus on my time in the past year of being a governor and focusing on the inflation fight. When I have written about diversity in particular, something that you might be interested in, that you focused on, sure, is innovation and where capital goes and where in the country it is. So certainly as a Fed governor, I've been out in all parts of the country listening to community banks and listening to communities about where credit is available and where it is not, and what the Federal Reserve might be able to do to provide such credit in the system, which is part of our dual mandate.
I appreciate that, Ms. Cook, and I will say that I hope you continue that work, because I certainly agree that we need to extend credit where possible and make sure that businesses, whatever the color of the skin of the founder, have access to capital. And I think that's probably an area where there's some alignment between the two of us. The final point that I'd make, and the reason I asked this question, and probably one of the last times I'll ever get to talk to you, and you're likely to be confirmed, is I really worry about how much time we focus on the tasks that we have in a given day. And if we're focused too much on the wrong things, we don't have enough time to focus on the right things. That's certainly true in my job. I think it's true in any other job.
Welcome back to Jace Manwa. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video so more patriots can hear the truth that the mainstream refuses to cover. So let's talk about this exchange between Senator J.D. Vance and Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. Now, this was supposed to be about preventing another financial crisis. That's the Federal Reserve's main responsibility: stable prices, strong employment, and making sure our banking system doesn't collapse. But what did Senator Vance point out? He pressed Lisa Cook on something she said in the past, that a lack of racial and gender diversity could actually cause economic crises. Think about that for a second. The 2008 financial crisis wasn't about diversity. It was about reckless lending, subprime mortgages, Wall Street gambling with toxic assets, and the collapse of real jobs for American workers. Families lost their homes, savings were wiped out, pensions were destroyed. That wasn't because the boardrooms weren't diverse enough. It was because our financial leaders were more focused on short-term profits than on protecting the American people. Vance nailed it when he said the Federal Reserve risks being distracted. If you're more worried about checking diversity boxes than about supervising banks, then you're setting us up for another meltdown. And let's be honest, who pays the price when that happens? Not the elites. It's everyday Americans, hardworking men and women, who lose everything while Wall Street walks away with bailouts. Now, Lisa Cook dodged his questions. She pivoted to the Fed's dual mandate, employment and stable prices. But she never really addressed whether she still believes diversity is a root cause of financial crises. That silence speaks volumes. Because the truth is, this focus on identity politics has infected every institution in America, even the Federal Reserve. Instead of sticking to the mission of keeping inflation under control and protecting our financial system, they want to virtue signal about gender and race. Here's the reality. A financial crisis comes from bad policy, weak oversight, and reckless spending. If the Federal Reserve wastes time on political agendas, they're not doing their job. And as Vance warned, that distraction could be what triggers the next collapse. So here's my take. The Fed needs to forget the woke nonsense and get back to the basics, protect our dollar, protect our economy, and make sure the American people don't suffer because of political distractions. Nothing else should matter. If you agree that we need strong oversight, not woke politics, make sure you like this video, hit subscribe to Jace Manoir, and share this with your friends. The fight for common sense in America isn't over, but it starts with telling the truth.